Hello, my name is Alice Araujo Marques, and today I'm going to present a work developed by me and Professor Gianni Magalhães Viana at the University of Brasilia, Brazil. I am going to present the work entitled Biomimicry Thinking, Fostering Quality of Life and Sustainability by Design.
So, throughout its trajectory, humanity has achieved several advances in terms of technology, and in this way, we went from a posture of balance and subordination to nature to a position of dominance and control over it. It is true that although many of these advances have been positive for our species, such creations ended up having a strong impact on ecosystems around the world. Thus, the human creations actually ended up generating high environmental costs. With this in mind, it is necessary to change the human environment relationship. And it is also important to redesign our urban spaces, constructions, and objects. A vital step in this perspective, it is also to rethink and redesign the creative processes that guide and underpin projects in both design and architecture. So, in addition, one possibility is actually to seek for a new balance, investigating solutions inspired on nature itself. With this in mind, a field of knowledge that can contribute to such developments is biomimicry. This is a domain that seeks innovations inspired by nature, in which the biological knowledge is abstracted and then transferred through analogies to the creative domain. Nature here is perceived as a model, a measure, and a mentor, and it is possible to investigate natural forms, natural processes, and systems. Certainly, not all configurations of nature are adequate or perfect, so it is up to us as designers to interpret the biological knowledge and to apply it in a way that best suits us, without forgetting also the importance of adapting our creations to the environment to reduce the pressures on the ecosystems. So, in the specialized literature, there are many reports on biomimetic tools. Biomimetic tools are defined as theoretical and abstract instruments that are used to structure the stages and processes that lead to new designs. They are guidelines for stimulating creativity, so they may be applied in specific design steps, such as for generating ideas, analyzing problems, or they may guide the process as a whole in biomimetic proposals. So here at the bottom right, it is possible to observe some of the examples of those biomimetic tools. In the present work, we are going to present the specificities of the biomimicry thinking tool. This tool has multiple names in the literature, such as biomimetics, design spirals, challenge to biology, biology to design, among many others. Some of its essential elements are ethos, reconnect, and emulate. And it is also interesting to mention that this is a tool that it is frequently combined with other resources, such as the Life's Principles diagram, the iSites, or the Ask Nature database, to name a few. Here we present the biomimicry thinking tool and its two main approaches. So at the left, we can observe the challenge to biology approach that starts with a design problem to then seek solutions in nature. And here at the right, we can observe the biology to design process that starts actually with a discovery directly in nature to only then return to the design table and discuss how such observations and functions and specificities may be applied in new creations. So it is interesting to understand that this is an iterative process. This is a process that can be repeated several times to further improve new designs. As mentioned before, one of the complementary resources used is the Life's Principles diagram. Here are illustrated many natural aspects that guide both the functioning of natural ecosystems and that also may be used to design projects and bring the creations closer to sustainability requirements. So, with this in mind, the present work aimed to describe, analyze, and discuss the use of biomimicry thinking tool in three case studies of projects that are committed to sustainability. The first case is the Eastgate Center, a commercial and office building in Zimbabwe. by McPherson. So the context of this project is to create a new large and office retail building for the region of Harare in Zimbabwe. Here in this city, we have high temperatures that normally require that buildings operate on an all-year-round air conditioning systems, which generate in its turn long-term costs for both the implementation and the operation of such systems. So there is a need for a more sustainable and economic solution for cooling the internal environment. And here the authors intended to explore some strategies such as low energy systems or passive systems, and also to use shading and ventilation. In the following step in the tool, we have the function identification step. Here, the McPherson and his team wanted to develop such efficient cooling system for the building, using less energy and generating comfort for the users of the building, reducing the amount of energy and increasing the quality of life of those that are inside of this construction. The natural model that was discovered by the design team was the termite mound. The termite mound are complex chimney systems that maintain the termite nest's internal temperature stable by opening and closing many vents and channels over the course of a day. That can be observed here at the bottom right in this schematic representation. In the following stage, the abstract biological strategies and brainstorming, the team intended to design a building with a series of chimneys, atriums, and fans to circulate the fresh air at night through the structure, expelling the hot air from the top. So here it is possible to observe the similarities between the solution that was developed and its natural model that inspired such creation. The solution was emulated in the real world, so the building was implemented here. And it is also interesting to mention that this building used complementary resources such as materials with high thermal mass, plants on the facade, and also a multifaceted surface to improve its cooling performance. After the construction, so in the following step, the measuring step, it was possible to estimate that this low energy consumption system actually uses approximately 35% less energy than other surrounding buildings. And according to McPherson and his team, the saving on capital costs compared with common buildings with full HVAC was approximately 10% of the total building cost. The next case is the Ionium, a fog catcher for a context such as Burkina Faso. The authors of this project are Marie-Jeanne Allercoté, Théo Jarin, Marc-Antoine Junot, and Josiane Ouellet-Dodelin. The context of such project focuses on the issue of the rising temperatures due to the action of greenhouse gases, which generate harmful impacts for many regions, but especially those that are susceptible to droughts. This project focuses on the context of Burkina Faso, which has an arid tropical climate. In this place, it's very common for communities to face many difficulties in reaching water resources and ensuring their food supply. This means that many people, and especially women, spend many hours of their day in a journey to fetch water for their families. And this makes access to education even more difficult. Many of these people have to drop out of school to be able to dedicate themselves to this task. So, the function identification phase was the development of a water collection site and system that intended to bring the water source closer to the village to improve the quality of life of these communities and actually to allow more time for these people to access education and to engage in the community itself. So, in the discovery of natural models phase, the team concluded that the main inspiration for this project was actually the xerophyte plants and succulents. These plants have a metabolism that is adapted to dry and hot environments. So, these plants have a high capacity to collect the ambient water present in fog due to its cells and stomata. So among all of these plant types, the team selected the Aeonium plant family. So in the following step, the team abstracted the strategies and started to imagine a system to capture fog inspired by microscopic filaments found on the plant surface that catch droplets of water of the morning dew. And also, the team was inspired by the opening and closing function of the stomata of the xerophilic plants to generate a similar system. Further on, the team emulated the project and created a digital prototype. Here, it is possible to observe that the team created a dome-shaped fog catcher that captures and stores the water contained in its structure. And this is a system that is composed of four main elements. One element for protection, an external element, an intermediate element for capturing water, one for filtering, and another for water conservation. So the external shell that has a protection intention, it is made of wood pieces that open and close passively and protects against the evaporation. The following here is the capture element. That is a nylon mesh that acts like the plant's filaments for water capturing, and that is combined with a tubular structure that collects water in a basin. The water is then filtered and preserved by phytopurification that is ensured by some specific plants that are present inside of the basin. The third case is the tree twisting towers. Is a project by Osama Al-Sehail. This is an inspiring project in which the author underlined a need for sustainability in tall architecture, and he illustrated his argument with an inspiring project that is a 60-story building of 300 meters in height. So this building would be located in the Mississauga area of Ontario. And the main goal here, according to the author, was to create a visual landmark in the city, would increase the interest in the area, and would also simultaneously search for an equilibrium between the functional, environmental, and aesthetic requirements. So the function identification phase involved the study and application of the biomimetic structural form and context issues for a high-rise building, so using a combination of natural inspiring geometry and functional characteristics. And here it is interesting to mention that biomimetic structural form is a flow system in which many forces and functions are designed to reproduce the natural efficiency in tall architecture. So proposing innovative solutions for buildings that actually are very much concerned with maintaining the balance with the environment. In the next phase of discovery of natural models, the author chose to investigate the study of the structural model of the palm tree trunk that is here represented. This plant has bundles of vascular strands that carry nutrients through its structure. So here we can observe at the bottom left. The trunk also has a spiral pattern and an external bark with 2 layers of connection. And also this plant incorporates characteristics such as twisting, taper, wrapping, stiffness, resistance, climbing, and balancing to provide stability. Through the abstraction of such biological knowledge, the author created a solution for his project. So this solution involves the composition of 2 layers, and an internal layer that is dedicated to the flow of people and activities, and an external layer related to the flow of loads. In the emulation phase, the author developed a digital prototype in 3D Max and Rabbit, and his solution included a rainwater harvesting system that was combined with the structure of the building. And this actually corresponds to a very sustainable solution that mimics natural forms and also natural functions. The project implemented a measuring phase of such prototype. The author estimated that this structure would decrease the need of materials between 20 and 40% because of its structural solution. And the project was also concerned with waste reduction and selected many recyclable materials for its construction. As was stated before, the curvature of the plant inspired the curvature of the building, and this solution actually allowed for better control of the solar gains that resulted in a high level of performance and in a good use of natural light. And the author underlined that an initial assessment revealed that about 30% of the carbon footprint would be reduced with such solutions. Here we can observe a comparative analysis of the cases. The three projects adopted the challenge to biology approach, which starts from a design problem and then seeks solutions in nature. It was considered that the authors did not complete all the steps indicated in the tool in a view of a lack of information on certain stages, such as brainstorming, and the use of complementary resources, such as the biomimetic databases and the application of the life's principles diagram. This may have been due to the focus of the author's reports on demonstrating the features of the final product and not focusing much specifically on the development process. It was also observed that that only the first project was built, and then the other two were actually digital prototypes. The first project explored characteristics of the termite colony behavior when building termite mounds. The second project focused on the forms of the aeonium plants, and the third project investigated the forms and structures of the palm tree trunk. The natural principles that inspired the author's creations respectively were passive cooling, water harvesting, and reinforcing structure. Since the projects did not specify the use of the Life's Principles tool, in the present work, each of these creations were connected to the factors present in this complementary tool, as can be seen here in the bottom of the table. In summary, it was noticed that the major benefits of the application of the biomimicry thinking tool were concernings with materials and energy savings, a preference for the natural lighting and ventilation, the use of durable and recyclable materials, and an adoption of passive, modular, and multifunctional systems. So it is possible to conclude that bio-inspired initiatives resulted in a predisposition for bioclimatic and sustainable solutions. The analysis underlined that there is a need for further information concerning such projects. So there was an insufficient specification of the procedures for applying the biomimicry thinking tool, and especially concerning the use of all of the resources as mentioned before. It was also noticed that all the projects adopted 3D modeling and digital fabrication resources to explore the organic and complex forms found in nature. In conclusion, the use of biomimetic tools is a significant complementary resource for professionals in creative domains such as design and architecture. And the projects that are inspired by nature provide many opportunities to improve the quality of life of our communities. And such projects and tools may also encourage the adoption of behaviors that meet the current sustainability requirements. We recommend that further studies to be carried out, such as new case studies or the direct exploration of such tools. Here are the references that supported the development of this work. And we would like to recommend to access directly the publications of each case for more information on each project and their respective authors. The links for such interesting and inspiring cases may be accessed through each case cover on this presentation or at the reference list at the end of this work. We thank you very much for your attention, and here is our main contact information.